as I make sure the muterator does not get me. Hello, everybody. My name is Rose, if you've never been here before. And today is another Eve interview, a history scope, but today we are doing Memento dot Mori dot. And with that, we have Mr. Joe Shee here today to give us a little history lesson on his court.
How are you guys? So I guess the first thing we want to go over with me, I guess it would be the corp name and whatnot, or
Well, if you don't mind, do you mind if I ask what your title is in the court?
that would probably be a bigger thing too.
Well, just so
My
we
name
introduce you to the people.
my name is Yoshi. I am the current CEO and founder of Memento Mori and Goonswarm Federation.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you. So, now that we know your title and you were the founding member, can you kind of tell us how the corpse name was thought of? Where did it kind of originate?
It kind of originated from like a few places of like thought. Mainly because Memento Mori in Latin means, always remember you will die.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what Eve is. You don't have fun unless you're losing ships and dying. So
this is true, and especially during the current time.
Yeah.
I know.
So it was. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a great name.
So it came to the thought of me of like, I don't want to be. I just want guys to have fun and lose ships. I don't care if you guys get kills. Just go use your ships. Use them. And what Memento Mori, the name kind of originated off of or branched off of was the idea of I want to make a corp where I don't want to be known as a corp that, is a killboard corp where we only care about killboard statistics and if it's mainly green. I didn't care if it was red. We could have had 5 pages of just losses and I'd be with a smile on my face thinking, hey, me and the guys, we went and used our ships and we had some fun.
Hell yeah.
That was the name stem from was, always remember you'll die from on fleets.
I love it. And I love I love the understanding that ships are ammo, and especially in a game where ships are replaceable. In any fashion, sometimes it takes a little more work than others, but I love the, just acknowledgement from the corp name that things are meant to die, and ships are ammo, and hey, like it really feels like a fuck it we ball kind of corp name.
Oh, that's
like,
us.
That's what I get from it, is really a fuck it we ball. So as somebody who's a fan of this, I approve. So now that we've got a basis for the corp name and kind of gotten an understanding of where the corp roots or foundation kind of comes from, can you kind of give me a little bit of the starting history of the corp and how Memento Mori got started?
So how Memento Mori got started was a little bit different than what most corps I feel like go through. Most corps I feel like in Eve kind of have a group of guys that kind of have a schism from another corp or alliance, and they make their own corp, and it kind of grows from there. That was not the case for Memento Mori at all. It was just me, myself, and I, and my alts. And one day I was just, as one does, can't forget the alts.
Oh no, never.
And it just kind of, at my current corp, I was actually in Goonswarm when I decided to make Memento Mori. And I was with our good friends Cloak Goof, shout out Gruesome, great guy.
Yep.
I talked to him and kind of ran my idea across the ground of like, hey, like, what's it like being a CEO? Cause I've been directors in other corps and all that, but I've never been the big cheese. So I was like, what is it like? And he kind of gave me a rundown and whatnot. And I came to the realization of like, like it's a game. I pay for my sub. I want to do what I want to do. I want to make a corp. I want to make a fun corp. So
I love it.
I didn't have many people at the same time to be like, hey, I'm just going to go with this guy now. I was just me. So I was just packed my bags and made Memento Mori. And it was just me at the very beginning. And I found an alliance, which, funny enough, I'm American. And the alliance that I joined for the first alliance with Memento Mori by myself was an entirely Aussie alliance. And I was the only American in the entire alliance.
Oh God, I love it. I love the
So,
Aussies. They're so funny, and
oh, they're great.
the every time the you don't say hello to them, you tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yes, and
It's
I learned
great.
about drop bears very quickly.
Wait, drop bears?
Yeah, drop bears. They're this mythical Australian creature that's like a koala that drops from the trees. Apparently,
I kind of like this.
yeah. It's
Wow.
apparently all the Aussies that are listening. You definitely know what drop bears are. As an American, I have your support with the drop bears.
I have no idea what they are, but they sound cool as fuck. So you have a second Americans on your side
Yeah,
with this.
all the Aussies will know what I'm talking about.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I was the only American in corp in the alliance, and with my own one man corp at the time. So that's how the early days of Memento Mori was, and then slowly I started recruiting, and the first two guys I got in my corp were, funny enough, Australian in the Australian alliance.
Oh
So.
god.
So yeah, from there, kind of, we had a little bit of a disagreement with diplomacy with those guys, and then we kind of left that alliance shortly after, and then we moved to actually slice pirates for like the renters, only because I know a lot of goons are cringing at that right now, but only because we had the idea of what me and these two guys were like, hey, let's just go into a rental, right?
Yeah.
And let's do our own corp stuff. Let's recruit, get guys, and like kind of train almost of like, let's do our own fleets, right?
Mhm.
If you guys want to go on the alliance fleets, like because Slice allowed the renters on the fleets, I didn't mind, but I was more focused on the corp, like just let's get the fundamentals down.
Yeah.
And I kind of at the time thought of a rental program as a way to be in nullsec as a small corp and kind of just work on the fundamentals of everything, right? Of trying to get the financial side of a corp ironed out, fleets, activities, things to keep guys busy, just everything what keeps a corp going. And as a
Yeah.
starting corp and a new CEO, you don't really, no one really teaches you that. No one holds your hand through that. You kind of just have to fall on your face a couple times, like everything else in Eve.
Yeah, they just kind of toss you into the fire and go, "Hey, gun
Yeah,
ho."
yeah.
So what do you know roughly the time frame that you guys had once you guys had split off when you guys landed in Slice? Just for um
This would
puzzle
be
sake.
probably 2019, 2020.
Okay, perfect.
So in those around that time period.
Okay.
So during that time where our time with Slice, like I said, we just worked on the fundamentals of being a new corp and just recruiting and getting new guys and making sure everyone meshed well and just being able to, I wouldn't say call ourselves as an organized fleet of how you see like Goonswarm fleets. It was more of like brawling and kiting and small gang stuff of like, let's get the fundamentals of that down. And the same thing I always told the guys too. I'm like, listen, if you want to fly your blingy Balgorn with us, go right ahead. I don't care if you lose. Just understand you might lose it, and I don't care if you do.
Have some fun with
And
it.
so we actually lived in a pipe system because I wanted to live in the pipe system of the rental systems because usually it was more traffic, and it was right into where Horde, it was actually the shortest route to get the Horde staging from Lowsec was they had to go through our system. So they actually didn't live in MJ at the time; they lived in R10.
Okay.
So my thought process was like, listen, if we live in the shortest route in the pipe system, we're gonna have content coming through. We don't have to go nowhere really. Like you may have to go a couple jumps for it, but they kind of have to go through us. So we were kind of like almost playing the guard to R10 a little
Yeah.
bit.
Okay.
So we would do little geek bubble camps, and we would do things. And our favorite thing to do, which Riot Rick had a little bit of a problem with us because he likes to kill streamers.
Oh.
Can you still hear me? My
Yeah.
computer's
No, you're good.
asleep. Sorry.
No, you're good. I can hear you.
All right, good. So Riot Rick, he loves to kill streamers, and so do I. I like to give him fights. So whenever we saw a streamer, me and Rick would be watching Twitch to see if a streamer came into Ethereum Reach, and it would be a race to me or Rick can get our guys to him faster. And Memento Mori would usually win.
Nice.
Because Rick would go out with his little bait procure, and here's Memento Mori with triple rep VNIs, just webbing the guy down, and here comes a Balgorn or a Macarial or something else, just dumb.
Well, I'm very glad that you're blue. As a streamer, I am very glad that you're blue.
Yeah, that would be. I would sit there in Discord, or at the time we could TeamSpeak. We would sit in there TeamSpeak with the guys, and I would just scour Twitch to see what streamers were doing what and where they were. And if they entered Ethereum Reach, I knew that the clock started for me or Rick to get to them first.
Oh, I mean that's kind of great because you're being aware of your space, well, or a space that you live in.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say that it's toxic or anything because you're defending your space, and if it comes across and you see it, I mean that's kind of fair game.
Yeah, I had it down pretty good for a while.
So,
Yeah, we had it down pretty good for a while, to the point where streamers could cover their systems, but I knew the skybox behind them, so I could tell if they were in the region.
shit.
So
Damn.
we would do that, and then we've had a couple of streamer clips, of me, taking a bait fight, and suddenly, our guys would come flying in, and I would quote unquote save me, but I would have some stupid bait ship that some streamer would be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to easily beat this, and let alone my VNI has an Ancil and 2 reppers on it, and you can't break it.
I may or may not have some ventures that are not ventures.
Yeah, that's like a lot of people have a lot of different bait ships. I've tried, Asher does his Nereus. I did a little VNI, like acting like I'm just a ratter taking the gates.
Well, I've seen a heron be used.
Yeah, also I've done that too.
That's a good one. I'm personally a big fan of the mollusk. Just because the damps, like.
Yeah, I've done the heron, which was later than Slice. I would do the heron with relic hunters and Asteros, because I know the Astero would kill the heron, but if I tank it just enough and put a covert Sino on it, I can bridge in a bunch of other people to kill him.
And they like snacks too, so might as well share the snacks. Yeah,
so we did that for a while.
And, yes.
And people might call that a little overkill to bridge in 10 guys in covert ships to kill an Astero, but we thought it was fun.
Honestly, at this point, I am very much just the fun per hour is more important sometimes than the ISK per hour. This game is a burnout simulator, a spreadsheet simulator. You sit here in tie-dye for X hours and bathroom simulator. Like, dude, fun per hour.
I think it comes down to of doing things that are original, that you don't see done every day. That's where it comes down to, like, the real fun stuff of like I said, bridging in 10 dudes to kill an Astero. They're all in Lokis. Like, you don't see a bunch of dudes sit on TeamSpeak, shooting the shit and waiting on a Black Ops to go kill a Heron or an Astero doing a relic site.
Oh yeah, no, it is absolutely fantastic, and I love some of the God, what's the word? ingenious. Some of the smart ways. I'll try not to use a big word because my brain is. It's 11 o'clock almost for me, so my brain is like English. But smart ways that are also fun. So like creative. That's a word. Um,
Yes.
Creative ways that people find to raise their fun per hour and do what some people might call really dumb shit, but it actually really fucking works.
Oh yeah, like I said with the Heron thing, we probably burned more fuel bridging everyone than the kill was actually worth, but it was just too much fun, and it's a funny meme to if you're a little Heron just running little relic sites, you don't expect for the Heron to tackle you with light as Sino.
Yep, never not blotch drop is what.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. But I'm looking forward to seeing some dumb stuff. Well, I just got into my deemer this morning, so I am now prepared to be ready to
Uh,
do dumb shit.
you're ready then. The Deemer is the best to do dumb stuff with.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's like that. What's that SpongeBob meme? I'm ready. I'm
Yeah,
ready.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yep. That's me right now. So
That's what in Memento Mori. There's a bunch of people that know that we like doing dumb things with big expensive things, and that's either Black Ops ships and sometimes supers. Or, so
yeah, that's it is definitely an opening world of fun, I would say. So, um, yeah, just have fun with it. You might as well. So, you guys are in Slice. You guys are doing hunting. You guys are doing drops. You guys are having basically a really nice fun per hour. What kind of
yeah.
happens after that?
So we were in Slice for maybe a couple months. Like I said, working on the fundamentals, and then I actually was friends with another guy whose corp was in um, Lawn. Get off my lawn, which they were in Imperium, and
Guys,
he messaged me one day saying, "Hey, I have this idea." And I was like, "What's this idea?" And he's like, "I want to start an alliance." I was like, "Okay, well, you're gonna leave Lawn and all that?" And he goes, "Yeah."
mm-hmm.
And around this time, this was right as the World War B2 was starting or just kicking off. It wasn't on very long. Like it was in the early stages of it. Like,
Okay.
but he's like, it's nothing against the war and all that. It's just more of I always wanted to do it, and I feel like with a lot of space opening up, this might be the time to do it. Of like own space and be an alliance. Okay,
Yeah.
so around this time, Memento Mori maybe had actually we did a lot of recruiting during Slice. We think we had about 20-ish guys now, and Memento Mori has only been a corp for maybe 4 months, 5 months. And we
Okay.
probably had, like I said, 20 guys. So I said, sure. I rallied up the guys and I said, listen, like, do you guys want to stay here and be renters, doing what we're doing, or do you guys want to go try something new? And obviously, everyone's like, what's the new thing? And I said, well, the new thing would be for us to try and take our own space. Guys are, wanted to try that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my buddy, which was Mad Whack Kring, he was the founding CEO of Five Bed, who's now in Goonswarm.
Oh yeah. Okay. I know who
So
they are. I think
yes, yep.
I've got a message into him. I think I probably should check up on that.
I
I'm
believe
really bad.
Sonrear is now the CEO. Mad Whack has stepped back,
I
but at
believe
the
that's
time, Mad
correct.
Whack was the CEO. So me and Mad Whack got together and we're like, hey, let's make an alliance. And that's where Trailer Park Illuminati was born. It was a hell of a name.
I love it.
We just wanted to be the trailer park of the space world. Just a bunch of, guys in a trailer park just setting up on someone's land and just killing them.
Hell
so,
yeah.
so at first, this is where, like I said, around World War B2, Fountain had fallen to Pappy. So at the time, me and Madwalk were like, oh, well, Fountain is kind of up for grabs. Let's maybe try and take Fountain a little bit. We can get fights from both sides, Pappy and Goons, because we're not blue to anyone. We're a brand new alliance. So we tried taking a constellation there. That went very poorly. That we probably held space in Fountain for maybe 4 days before Nit came and just wiped us out. And so we regrouped in Losec, and we kind of had a meeting, and we're like, okay, so where can we go now? And that's when we found Pureblind. Pureblind came to our idea because we had a few connections with people in cones, conifers. So we contacted them, kind of arranged some stuff for the B, like, hey, like, we want to move into the area. We want to set up a little bit of a pack type of thing. They were cool because they knew a couple of members in so they were like, hey, we've flown with you guys before. You guys are cool. Sure, we'll help you guys out. You guys are new alliance. We like new alliances.
Yeah.
So we went up there into Pureblind, and we actually started with 4 systems.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we took over 4 systems pretty fast, which then grew into 6 systems, I think, after a week or so. So we had basically our whole constellation to ourselves.
Nice.
And we were actually just happy with that. Like, we understood we were small and we were in a new alliance, so we kind of went through the same strategy of, like, let's iron things out, let's not overexpand, let's not get crazy.
Yeah.
So we tried in the area at the time, in Pureblind, there was a lot of other small alliances up and coming. And some old heads too, like Conifers and Banterlogs, and then Volta moved into the area, into Fade. So we tried, diplomatically going to everyone and being like, hey, everyone wants their own space. We get it. Let's kind of have a bit of an agreement between us and all the alliances in the area of, hey, let's kind of band together a little bit, but not set each other blue. Let's all have fights and have brawls, and let's just be like a little fight club up here. But if a bigger group comes in, say Frat, Horde, Goons, any bigger alliances that can just kick us all out, let's all band together and help each other stay in this area.
Makes sense.
So that everyone mostly agreed on that. And then about a week later, the alliance that we actually bordered with on our constellation started to cloaky camp us, and which was not part of the agreement we had. We're like, hey, let's have brawls and all that, but no cloaky camping and no hitting our structures, no hitting our SOV structures especially. So they started cloaky camping us, and then we were like, all right, listen, it's kind of getting old, right? I'm not gonna make a big deal about it. And then they started hitting our structures and hitting our SOV structures to try and get fights out of us. And that's when I was like, all right, that's when the gloves are going to come off, and you guys are clearly not going to, be a part of this agreement. So at that point, we declared war on them. I'm trying to remember their name. I think their name was, like, the alliance name was Godzilla. We declared war on them. They were about equally sized. And they held the entire constellation just north of us in Pureblind.
Okay.
And that's when, like I said, we went to war with them, and I think we actually made their entire alliance collapse and took over all their space in about a 2-week span.
So, Sedition, Godzilla, and Volta?
Yep. So what?
Chat's saying, maybe.
Yep.
So, or Tiberius
saying
so.
The war, yes. Yes, I know Tiberius. What's up, Tiberius? He was there for it too. It was Godzilla, and then they called in Sedition to help them, which I think Trail Park Illuminati was maybe 30 guys at most at that time, and we were fielding maybe 30, 40 ships in a fleet with a bunch of our alts. That was like our max form. They were forming 100-something people, and we were just beating them by just tactic.
Curb stomped him?
Yeah, we literally were. Like, we took over their whole space in about a week, like 2 weeks.
God
um,
damn.
to the point they even had an Asbel when they realized that their space was lost. In their staging system, they also had a Fortizar. But the Asbel that was right in front of their staging Fortizar, they tried on anchoring. And when Memento Mori and everyone else in TPI seen that Asbel go on anchor, that was our time to shine. That
Well, yeah.
was around the clock surveillance on that Asbel. There was always people in Discord with a live stream with a Cloaky camper in that system watching that Asbel. And one day we were sitting there and everyone started freaking out because the Asbel popped and it was scoopable. So that's
Cryos.
when we were like, that's our time to shine.
So
We ran over
Cryos.
a Sino and lit a Sino and jumped in a Rorqual by itself to
Hmm.
scoop an Asbel in front of a staging Fortizar.
So Cryos still has it in Jita with the Rourke.
Yep.
Is what he's saying. I don't know if the
Yep.
Rourke is still there, but at least the Asbel is still in Jita.
Yep.
So
That's who jumped in. It was Cryos who
that
jumped
is
in the Rorqual.
awesome.
And we didn't have we was so mismatched of an idea to scoop it that we kind of forgot about how there's going to be a blue timer and a red timer on the Rorqual, and we didn't have anywhere safe to put the Rorqual, so we were like, you know what, screw it, let's just warp it around. So we were just warping a Rorqual around the system with in front of their staging Fortizar with an Asbel in it until we can jump it out.
Oh my god, that's awesome! Just like that is up there with some of the fun structure stealings that I've heard of
Yeah.
jumping a Rourke into a blob and then jumping it out. And trailer park making sense now. I absolutely love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, it was, like I said, we were just a trailer park setting up on someone's space, just causing havoc.
Oh my god, that is awesome, and I love the chaos of going, hey, hey, we're in your stager and we have your Asbel. Lol.
Yeah, and just warping a Rorqual by itself around your staging system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's fucking funny as shit, and I love it. And
So
oh my god.
yeah, we did that, and then around that time we took over that constellation, and that's what kind of got the attention of everyone else in the region of like TPI might be a problem. So we try to explain to everyone like, hey, these guys kind of did it to themselves. We're trying to be cool, but they weren't, and that's why we went to war with them, but they didn't want to hear it. So then we had immediately started a war with Sedition, Volta,
Oh
um,
god.
Volta's pets at the time, which was We Form Blob. And then there was probably another alliance. Out of the Blue. Out of the Blue was part of Volta, like under Volta at the time. So there was probably 5 alliances now at war with us, and we're just this new alliance that just happened to, take over 2 constellations that we really didn't want.
That is absolutely great. And like I can't stop smiling. I'm over here like shit. It's
I
like,
told you, MM has a little bit of an unorthodox start.
well, and it's like a toddler going, "Hey, I'm gonna punch you in the knees," and actually doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It's great.
yeah. Yeah. That's exactly how it was. So we were around the clock. Fleets were getting pinged and forming up all the time, and we were just constantly shipping ships and giving ships out to people. And like, listen, you can't fly this, fly that. Just get in something. Go out there. You can't fly anything. Here's an E-war ship. Go jam the FC.
Yeah, doing something, doing some job. Even if you're having to learn on the fly and like tossing the fire, like it's still a job, and you are rolling.
Yep.
Gosh. And this Tiberius is saying that his multi-box training to the max.
Yeah, everyone was running tons. Like personally, I run 7 accounts, and I believe all 7 would be in fleet. I would have like 2 mainline. I would have 1 in Tosising. I would have 2 Dictors flying around bubbling fleets. I would have a Sino ready. And
Hell yeah.
everyone always put in 100%. I can't say they didn't, especially the guys that flew with me in TPI. They always, if there was a fleet ping saying, "Hey, our Sav is getting attacked," they were on. Especially, like I said, like Tiberius in the chat and Cryos, those guys were MVPs during all that.
See, so I am still under your playing, and I'm over here like looking at multi-boxing like it's fucking Pangu, like it's cute. It looks fun. I don't think I can do it. I'll get there. I'll get there, and it's like the looming and I'm just like,
Yeah,
God
yeah,
damn it. So
just try to play 7 accounts all while trying to fight another fleet that's 3 times the size of your fleet. It's stressful.
yeah. Oh gosh.
And somehow we come out on top.
Fuck. That is wonderful, and my brain is sitting here trying to comprehend, and I don't even think my computer could run 3 fleets. Or could run 7 alts. It could maybe live and do 2. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't tried it, but it's so. My computer is a former host rig, so it had parts put in.
Need lots of RAM for it. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. Anyone that's looking to get into a big multi-boxing with multiple accounts needs lots of RAM.
Hell yeah, that's it's working on it. So it's full of RAM. We're getting there. So you guys are fighting this and having this kind of toddler versus adult fight where you guys are multi-boxing a ton. You guys are kicking them in the knees and kicking them in the shins and taking them down and
yeah, holding our space.
yeah. So what happens kind of at the end after this? I guess is
the end of TPI, where it kind of came down to was, I think everyone was starting to get really burned out of just constant, multi fleets a day of just constant Sov warfare, which if you ever done Sov warfare, it's not exactly the most fun to fight over nodes.
God no.
And so yeah, I think everyone was getting burned out, and then that's when we found out when Volta tried to, I guess, almost headshot our alliance and started to shoot our staging Fortizar, which then they reinforced it, and we didn't realize that our reinforcement timer was the complete opposite of when our main TZ was for the alliance.
Oh no.
So we were like, oh shit, no one's going to be online for that. So yeah, so we kind of came to realization of like, shit, they might actually get that. And then so we kind of cut our losses because we were getting really burned out with it. And so we were like, listen, we'll sell some of this shit to you guys, whatever. It was a good fight, whatever. If you guys want to buy, we'll give you a good price on it, whatever. We just want out. We're done. We're burned out.
Yeah.
Because like it was fun and all, but like I said, node warfare as a new alliance fighting every time a fleet that's 3 times your size and they're just trying to curb stomp you and just kick you out of the region. It's not exactly a fun fleet if you're, being the person managing it.
And it's a lot of work too. Like,
yes, it is a lot of work.
It is not easy to sit there and have to do this for, potentially hours.
Yes, so that's what happened was a lot of our FCs, which we didn't exactly have many FCs in our alliance of that size. We're getting very burned out of it. They just were like, hey, this, it's been fun, but, I would love to keep doing this, but this is just not going, we're kind of in a stalemate. And this is just going to keep going on for months and months and months until we're bankrupt, because they're obviously, Volta's much richer than some new alliance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what we did was kind of just pack up shop, pick up what we can, sell some stuff to friendly alliances in the area to kind of make some of our money back. And then we moved over to freight train diplomacy. They were founded from a corp that was actually in Goonswarm again, Dogfort. I'm not sure if you heard of them.
I am probably too new to recognize a lot of these
Yeah,
names. I have heard the
they've
name
been out of the
Repulsa though.
Imperium for probably good 4 or 5 years now, but
Okay.
they were a long time Imperium member that broke off around the same time as I made Memento Mori in like 2019, 2020, and started their own alliance called Freight Train Diplomacy. They had space in Vale before Frat took it over, and this time is about maybe late 2020, early 2021. So we go there. So we actually only lived there for maybe a week or so because we joined there and then immediately got told, "Hey, the alliance is moving," and we're like, "Oh." So why didn't you tell us that when we were joining the alliance? And they were like, "Well, we didn't tell anyone." So Freight Train Diplomacy was leaving Vale because Frat gave him the ultimatum of, "Hey,
Move or
give us
die.
your space or you're out," right?
Yeah, move or die and lose all your
Yeah, move
shit.
or
Yeah.
die, basically.
Yeah.
And Freight Train came to all these CEOs and said, "Hey, talk to your guys, and we're gonna have a vote later today of what we want to do: move or fight." So Five Bad and MM joined Freight Train Diplomacy together. And me and Madwag, I talked about it, and I talked to a couple other CEOs. And me and Madwax, I know at least me and Madwax's vote. I don't know about many other CEOs, but Memento Mori and Five Bed, both of us voted to stay and fight because, hey, we were just in a war as the underdog. We can keep going, especially if we have more people and more FCs, so we don't get burned out.
Yeah. More support, and that way
Yeah, more
it's
support and more assets to do things with, and more logistics support. So we're like, hey, let's fight until everything's reduced to ashes, right? And then we could say, hey, we at least tried.
yeah.
So I believe then eventually the majority of the vote was to just pack up and leave, which I wasn't very happy about. I wanted to stay and fight. So then they told us that Freight Train Diplomacy would be moving to Pravi and joining Wrecking Crew.
Probably block.
I don't like I don't like Pravi personally. Many of my guys in MMO at the time did not like Pravi either, or Wrecking Crew. So we're like, that's not really the gameplay for us. So that's when I had to go out and be like, hey, what? So now where do we go? Where do we bring the corp? And then this is around the time of World War B2, where goons have now been pushed back only into the 1DQ constellation. And so I say to everyone, let's join goons. And everyone looks at me. John looks at me, looks a little bit crazy. And I'm like, listen. And I gave a corpse speech of how I'm like, listen, goons, I've been in goons. They're a great alliance, offers great things for their members. And I go, trust me, they're not losing that war. They might be in a single constellation, but they're going to fight for like hell for that constellation. And it's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone mostly agreed. We had a couple people that weren't very happy about it, which then, every time you move a corp to a different alliance, you always have some people that aren't happy and then leave. So you can't really help it.
Yeah.
So we joined Goonswarm right after Freight Train Diplomacy when goons were in their 1DQ constellation Bastion Brawl with the Keepstar and T5Z.
Oh, God. Oh, God. That insanity. I've heard a little bit of stories, but okay.
Yeah, that was pure insanity. So imagine trying to move a corporation through hostile space to get to your new home.
I mean, so this kind of pieces in with some other things. And with some of the other interviews kind of during this time and the people doing the behind the lines thing and stuff like that. So I would see it as potentially a cool opportunity to do some cool stuff.
Well, that's where we're getting to.
Okay, we're getting to the fun part.
You were getting to the whole behind the lines and creating SIGs and squads.
Yes. Yes.
So
I love it.
Memento Mori joins Goons in the whole 1DQ thing, like I said. Get our guys situated, and then like I said, I was in Goons before making Memento Mori. It's been about a year, so I had a couple friends, and one of my good friends, a very great guy, the lad Shoop. I'm sure people in the chat probably know Shoop very well. He's an awesome dude.
Okay.
Um,
Heard the name before. That's
yeah,
as far as I got.
yeah, you might have heard his name thrown around before. I've seen pings from him. So at the time, Shoop was, just a little line member doing his own thing, just like doing stuff. So he's an Imperium boy through and through. He's always been the Imperium. So he seen we joined, and he said, "Hey, if you're in the Imperium, I'm with you, Joe." So he joined up with us,
Nice.
and I think that was around the time of CCP put the update out for abandoned structures.
Oh.
So Shoop came to me with this idea, but his friend Chillback, which if people know Chillback, another great dude, came to me. It was me, him, and Chillback kind of had this idea of let's kind of exploit that new mechanic of not exploit's kind of bad word for it, but let's kind of really push it and see what we could do with it.
See where the limit or the limiting factor is, and seeing how
let's
that
see.
to our advantage. Let's
it was
not
more
call it exploit because there are listed exploits in Eve.
That's why I'm saying
that are,
it's kind of a bad word for it,
but you can go and test a mechanic. And
we're testing the mechanic, and then we were also more interested in testing how good the logistics guys are in Pappy.
I love. Okay, great. We know their shit already. We already know their shit.
And that's what we figured out pretty early on.
Well, hey, it's good to see they're consistent, at least at one thing, which is being shit. So I'll take it.
So what we did was we're like, listen, well, Delve is swarming with guys in Pappy. We're not going to be able to. They're fueling everything in Delve. That's their main focus. What about Catch? Brave's there. They're kind of leaving Brave out of the picture. No one cares about Brave, which in Pappy no one did. They're great. They're great allies in the Imperium now, but at the time when they were part of Pappy with World War B2, they were kind of just left in the dust.
Oh God.
So around that period, I believe Brave started to move to Aquarius because Gobbins was like, "Hey, come to Aquarius, fill the space, so goons can't take it back. We'll protect you." That was a lie.
We know how that turned out.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020. We know how that turned out, and another Gobbins lie. But so they started to transition to Aquarius, but they were leaving a lot of their structures in Catch. And like I said, we were trying to push the limit of see how good are the Brave logistic guys or the Pappy logistic guys. So our idea was, let's kind of put together a little SIG, a little, proto-SIG SIG of just a couple guys doing some fun things behind enemy lines, a little special ops group. So what we came up with was we called them pimp fits, which is for Drekavax. We were Dead Space Drekavax.
I love it.
That would go around just burning down abandoned structures, and then we would have a bunch of guys in alts with DSTs scooping all the loot and bringing it back to buy more pimp fit Drekavax to fit more people up with.
Yeah. Hey, if it works,
So, yeah, there's been a couple very big pops where a couple very expensive items have come out where we're like, oh shit. So I think we did that for a while where we burned a couple dozen systems worth of structures, and shout out to Shoop for doing the God's work of that SIG of the Black Order, it was called. Doing the God's work of going around in a co-op ship with thousands of rounds of ammo and putting one round of ammo in every hostile structure in Catch so he'll get the notification when it goes abandoned.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That I believe that still works, by the way.
Yeah, it still works.
Yeah.
So Shoop on his days when we weren't running fleets, we would be out in catch with our little co-op ship, just dropping a little piece of hail in every hostile structure, and we would get a little ping if they went abandoned, and when that would get put on a list, and Black Order Sig would get pinged, and hey guys, we got a target, get your Drex out.
Hell yeah.
Which I know some people don't like structure bashing, but when you pop it and like 20 bill of loot comes out, some brave newbies have left behind, it's kind of fun.
It's just candy. Well, especially
Yeah,
when they weren't blue. This is pre-blue brave newbies,
yes.
so
yes,
they weren't friends.
That was very pre-blue. They were hostile to us at the time.
They were food, and not friends. They were food. So, hell yeah, being able to just loot pinata that shit.
Yeah, that's all we did was just loot pinata, and hundreds of billions have been pulled out of structures of brave newbies that have just random assets have been left behind, random ships. So I'm talking capitals, BPOs, anything you can imagine. It was a pinata. We didn't know what we were getting when we popped a Rataru or an Astra House or an Asbel or even a Fortizar. We've done Fortizars with that too.
Oh yeah. So Mr. Jim Gonzo has said over 200 billion period basis on stream.
Well, that's Jim. I was getting the period basis because catch was first, and then once we did catch, we actually started going into structures into period basis, which was mainly Test. Test owned a lot of those.
Test, which is now dead.
Yes, which Test is now dead. We started moving into period basis and doing that same strategy in period basis of let's test how good the test guys are at their logistics. If they can keep up with the war and also fuel their structures. Which then becomes the viral clip in the Imperium at the time of Joshi losing his Paladin, which, funny enough, was not mine because I stole it. I was flying a test Paladin through a test gate camp, and they killed their own Paladin I was flying. I was trying to get back to 1DQ.
That's awesome. It's like, we're just going to steal your shit. Oh, you lost it. Bitch, it was yours.
Yeah, there was one night we were there. We got a notification for an abandoned structure. It was, I believe, an Astra House in period basis, and we popped it, and a bunch of blingy ships came out, and we had Brisk Rubal, we had Merkel Chan in our fleet with us, and Burke would actually live stream us doing this, of us burning their structures down on the Imperium News Network. And yeah, we'd have Jim, we would have me, a bunch of other very awesome guys in the Imperium would join us in doing this. At the time, the SIG kind of grew into pretty fun little thing we got going on. We would go out and everyone would, have their drinks and whatnot and just shoot the shit while we just burned down test structures and stole their shit.
You might as well have some fun anyway.
Yeah. I mean, so
structure bashes are fun if they're communal fun.
Listen, when you're on, Mumble with the guys or the girls and you guys are just having fun, having laughs while you burn down some structure that's red to you and you get to steal their shit, it's a great time.
Hey, cheers to that. But,
so, that was the one night we popped the Astra and a bunch of blingy ships popped out and we were like, oh, okay, well, guys, dock up your Drex real quick. In the staging, come back and just let's grab a bunch of these ships and screw it. Let's just fly them right through back to 1DQ. So everyone was in a bunch of other blingy ships, which, trust me, the Paladin I lost that day was not the most expensive thing we got through that gate camp. So what happened was we all fleet warped with probably 15, 20 guys in a bunch of test stolen ships playing basically Eve Grand Theft Auto. Flying right into a test gate camp, and the biggest ship they saw in their overview was a Paladin, which, funny enough, like I said, was not the blingiest. And so I sat there and tanked the entire gate camp while everyone else, tried to shove themselves through the gate, and I was just the martyr for it.
hey, considering you were not the most blingy,
That's
from
yeah,
your words, that's an accomplishment. You
yeah,
got that shit out.
I believe I think I was the FC or the backup FC for that fleet, and I remember just telling everyone to just burn for that gate and get through it and get onto that keep star. I'll sit here and overheat my reppers and try to hold off as long as I can for everyone else to get through that gate.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, but hell yeah, that is awesome. That is great.
So yeah, so like I said, Tess killed their own ship that
Well,
I stole.
I mean, if they didn't read the name, they may not have had the brain cells. It's okay.
Yeah,
They
well,
saw blue, but they didn't realize it was a red ship. They didn't realize it was a
yeah,
blue
it was,
ship and red
a
hair.
blue ship, a red was flying it. I know it gets a little confusing.
It's I don't know. It's okay because Tess is dead, which means they don't have any brain cells. So insurance, you're just repurposing it because you found it. It was
So
goons anyway.
So yeah, that's what happened was, that's the whole meme for a while was Joshi losing paladins because, lose paladins to gate camps or test members just being me.
It happens.
So yeah, that's that what we would do. That's how the Black Order was created in around that time period of when World War B2 was going on.
Mm-hmm.
We would do little corp things around that period too, where um, a lot of Pappy would come into 1DQ or in T5Z and they have little brawls on the gate. So
Yeah.
we came up with the idea of let's do something that people don't think of. Right? When you think of a cormorant, you probably think, oh, long range rails. Not many people
Mm-hmm.
think, blasters. So
Hey,
what we
if
would
it packs a
do is
punch.
so what we would do as a corp, we would get a little fleet of cormorants with a bunch of blasters, bring them into T5Z, and we would sit by the gate on a ping and wait for some pappy guy to probe us down in some little
Mm-hmm.
ship of his, thinking, "Oh, I'm just gonna eat a bunch of little rail cormorants real quick," and then he lands on us at 0, and we just swarm him and just overheat
Becomes a
blasters
snack.
into him.
Yeah, it turns from hunter to hunted, and then to
Yeah, very
snack.
very
So
quickly.
hey, it works, and I I still think that finding things that the ships can do, even if you're using the bonuses as some people may call incorrectly, because instead of rails, blasters, stuff like that,
Yeah,
you're
well,
still
like I
having
said, it's
fun.
more of you're having fun, but you're also going against the meta almost of like
Yep.
you don't see that very often.
Yeah.
Kind of think outside the box of like, what's the norm? Okay, let's break that norm. Let's try something that people don't think is going to happen. Let's turn the tide on them.
And that's probably my favorite thing about this game personally is finding those people who you're just like, okay, I'm gonna let you cook. I'm gonna let you cook. I'm gonna let you do your work, and they come up with something that's just like, holy shit, you're a genius. Like, man, that's great.
Yeah, that was MM at the time where we were just trying to figure out ways of let's just be annoying. Let's just be annoying. Like you're a Pappy member and you see a bunch of cormorants type of thing, and like I'm gonna get some easy kills. All of a sudden you just get burned down by a bunch of blasters and some other weirdly fit ship in a fleet, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
like you look at it and you're like, why? Why
You're
did I
like,
fall for that?
God damn it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So we done that, and then at the same period too, we would. At the time, a lot of people didn't know we were doing this, but um, a couple of members in MM at the time that because we like to said, Memento Mori, always remember you'll die. I came to a couple people in the corp that had super carriers, and I was like, hey guys, do you want to use them a little bit? And they were like, sure. I was like, well, I have an idea. If it dies, it dies. Just know that. Then, so when fleets were getting pinged on the Pappy side and there was big fights going on, I kind of realized that if you didn't need your super carrier at the time, I would get a couple guys and I'd be like, hey, everyone's focused on 1DQ right now. Let's just jump to a random delve system in our super carriers and just bash some structures and just start reinforcing shit.
Yeah.
So here's me and a couple other guys while there's a massive fight going on in 1DQ in super carriers sitting literally at 0 on some, Pappy Fortizar just bashing the shit out of it.
Love it. Well, because if they're out there, there's nobody gunning the structure.
Exactly. They're all occupied in 1DQ and that was their main focus at the time. Who's gonna care if if something gets reinforced? Yeah. And then if we do it, we reinforce it. We just, put our supers back, we cloak them up somewhere where we had them, and now the goons have a timer. We have another fight.
All right, so you were doing Memento Mori was doing, and you guys were doing some really fun per hour, big brain, anti-meta. Just summarizing here, anti-meta, very or opposite of meta, very just big brain. You're doing big brain stuff.
I wouldn't call us big brain, but more of strategic stupidity.
I would say it's big brain, but like I'm over here just going, this sounds crazy as fuck and fun as fuck. Like if it ever comes again, sign me up. Here, take my money. Let's go. Like that's the only thing that my brain is going right now is that sounds fun. It sounds like interactive, and it sounds like a damn good time. Or occasionally known as strategic stupidity. Strategic
stupidity.
So you guys were doing all this, and
so we were just around this time doing all our strategic stupidity, like I said, and we were just vibing out, having fun fights with 1DQ and Pappy and all that, and we were just kind of, weirdly enough, growing as a corp, because even though we weren't quote-unquote recruiting for the war, we would only recruit people that were coming in with very many vouchers. Like you needed vouchers from other members of ours. Be like, hey, this guy's actually good. He's not a spy. He's not this. Like he just wants to come in for the fight. Okay.
Yeah.
So when word got out that MM was like doing these type of things, a lot of guys would message a lot of guys they knew and be like, hey, like I flew with you like a couple months ago. Me and you used to fly together. I want in on this.
Yeah.
And some of them, were just from like low sec alliances, non-Pappy affiliated alliances, and some of them were just like solo guys. Like we've had a couple streamers and content creators in MM. Like for a while we had Extra Squishy in MM, we had DTM, we had Prinav or Saint Mordred, he was then called. We had a couple of content creators that just wanted in on our little stupidity fun fest.
Yeah.
So that's when they started coming in, and we started doing more things with like blops and behind enemy lines, and like shit, if Horde and all that's down in 1DQ again, their ratters are still ratting up in drone lands. Let's just stage a bunch of blops up there. On our free time, we'll just go dunk on a bunch of ratters. So we were just dropping 15-something redeemers on just Vexers and Ishtars and Dominixes and whatever the hell we can find, basically.
I mean, you might as well.
Yeah, right. Shit, if you have nothing else to do and
it
need something to do.
It keeps them from making money.
Exactly.
And I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, it means more money for us, less money for them.
Yep.
You need money to win things, like except for Eve. You don't need money to win Eve. You just need burnout.
Yeah, you just need ships and fights. That's all you need.
You need ISK to get those ships most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah.
Unless somebody just goes, take this shitload of ships. Which
trust me, we kind of do that in MM.
It's okay. I do that to people. I do that to friends. I'm like, wait, hold on. You need shit? And I will go and send them 40 ships and be like, here you go. There's your E-War. Yeah, there's your Damps. There's your Scram. Like, go die. Go have fun.
That's what like well currently like we have a member in MM called his name's Sejin.
Mhm.
Some guys in the chat might know Sejin and his SIG that he's getting up and started. MMs are very much we like SIGs and squads. I like the idea of SIGs and squads, and I try to push people to go into them. It's more of a like you like a certain everyone likes a certain play style, right? And the corp can't cater to every play style. So if you want a certain thing, join a SIG,
Yeah.
right? And so I've always since joining Goons, I've always as a corp leader or CEO, I've been very fond of SIGs, and that's why I like to help create them or help fund them and help push them become what they can be. Because I understand that getting a SIG or a squad off the ground in Goons it can be a little daunting, a little challenging, but especially with funds
Yeah.
and getting people and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
Can confirm. I love. That's part of a good thing about big groups is that they have the little subgroups and SIGs and stuff. So
yes,
if you're
yes,
in Goons, look up SIGs and squads. This is your.
yes,
I know it's talked about on Fireside. Like it's talked about on a regular basis.
yes.
Join your
Everyone that's
SIGs
in
and
chat right
squads.
now, that's in Goons, join SIGs and squads. You'll make tons of friends. You're gonna have a great time. Find that little niche play style that you love.
Mm-hmm.
Goons have so many different niche playstyles with SIGs and squads that you can find literally everything.
And I'm just gonna say, shout out to University. That's my home. That's who I work for. So I educate you guys with history, and then I go in there, and then I make a lot of your shifts. So go support University. They're pretty awesome. Um, they're fantastic, and they do a lot of teaching of classes, handouts, their stuff. So this is my University plug. There is even an episode on the history of University from Mr. Ranger or Mr. Uncle Ranger Gamma. But yeah, so you guys are really involved with SIGs and squads. Where is this kind of in the timeline of the war? So
So with the timeline right now, we'd probably be near the ending of the war.
Okay.
Pappy, said starts unanchoring their keep stars. We start just, killing everything, leaving Delve. At the time, we were great friends with Israd, with Peanut Smash, and those guys. They're now in, they were in Imperium at the time, but they're now with, I believe, Snuffed Out.
Okay.
So, MM and Israd actually teamed up together at the end of the war to be like, hey, obviously all these Pappy guys are going to try and just get their shit out, and there's not going to be enough jump freighters for it all in a quick time span. They're going to gate it. So
Oh.
what we did was just set up just a little stupid gate camp right near NPC Delve because we're like, they're going to go right for NPC Delve to put it somewhere safe. Everything's getting unanchored real quick. So we would kill Ocketers and all different fleet ships just hitting our bubbles, and people are just trying to panic, get out, and we're just capitalizing on that panic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everyone loves a little gate camp. All right, it's it's the oldest form of fighting in Eve. I feel like one of them. So we just set up a good old fashioned gate camp and just sat there for a couple of days, just killing people trying to evac out of Delve, and collected their loot, and helped push that into more SIGs and squads that we were trying to get up and running. So after the war, everything starts to calm down. Goons take over the space again. That's when MM starts taking a look at. Well, let me back up for a second. That's when CCP, I believe, or roughly around that time, introduces Pochvin. I think if everyone in the Imperium in chat right now would probably agree with me, was that Imperium, when Pochvin was first introduced, was an absolute shit show. We didn't know what the hell to do with it. It was just drama all the time and everything going on there. And Goons at the time didn't want nothing to do with it. But I personally, I really didn't look into it very much at the beginning until a couple of my members came to me and said, hey, look at these numbers from some of the stuff that's going on. Look at some of these fights that are going on in Patrin. I think this could be something. And I took a look at it, looked it over, and I was like, all right, you guys actually have a point here. So what do you want to do about it? And some of them were like, hey, well, let's rally the guys. Let's just try a couple things in Patrin as a corp and just see where it goes. All right, fair enough. I'm very much, if you guys come to me with an idea in MM and, it's a sound idea, nothing crazy. If you guys have a strategy, I'm willing to put assets, manpower to it and try it out. Like, we'll figure it out and see what we get out of it. So at that time, I believe Patrin, the whole thing around there was like the flashpoints. Everyone was rushing to get the flashpoints to make a ton of ISK, and there was fights and going on, and Horde was there, but goons weren't yet, and we didn't have much of a presence there. So I was like, all right, let's get the guys in MM, and let's go to Patrin and just try it out. I want to see how much ISK we're talking. And I think everyone now knows that Patrin is just a giant ISK faucet of just money pouring out of its wormholes.
It just prints ISK?
Yeah, well, at the time, it wasn't very well known. It was kind of a hush-hush secret that it was a absolute ISK printer. Until like I said, some of my guys came to me with some numbers, and they're like, this is what's going on here, and maybe we should take a look at it. All right. So that's when MM started, getting us and a couple guys together and running these flashpoints and fighting Horde in Patrin and for these flashpoints and stopping Horde from getting the money. That's when the Patrin SIG, I would kind of say, it wasn't the Patrin SIG itself as it is now, but that's where it kind of was the inception of it. It was it was a lot of MM guys, and then we started inviting a couple of guys from a couple other corps, and then we had a little Discord going when we'd invite other people, and next thing you know, there's fleets going that aren't even MM guys in it, and they're just doing the same thing we started. So that's what happened was I would kind of credit if a lot of people if that were there when we were doing it would be credit MM for kind of almost in making the inception of the Patrin SIG with goons as well, because we kind of were like, hey, let's just get a bunch of dudes there and just let's just run these sites and stop Horde and fight Horde. And then we started inviting other people, and more people started getting invited, and more and more and more, and it just kind of snowballed on itself of now a SIG in the Alliance, which now I believe one of my directors is actually running that SIG killer.
The name sounds familiar. Can I say if I know this person?
Killer 641. Yeah,
Killer. Yeah, they're very nice.
Yeah, he was there at the inception too, and he was, I believe, one of the people that came to me with the numbers and being like, "Hey, this is maybe something we should look at." I was like, "Okay, well, let's throw some money at it. Let's get everyone in ships. Let's get some people in logistics, running logistics to the staging system, and let's try it. Let's figure it out. Let's." So, like I said, I would kind of credit MM. I don't want to take all the credit for it because there was a lot of other people and a lot of other corps that put a lot of time into that as well. But that's where, I would say the real almost inception of that came from. Because, like I said, it just snowballed on itself, which then I think a lot of people remember Contan, which then he had his whole crash out on Reddit, but he was running it for a little bit before he had his crash out.
Well, at that point, you could kind of go, hey, this is something that we had a hand in doing.
Yeah, there was definitely a hand in helping facilitate getting that off the ground.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So like I said, I'm very much into SIGs and squads. So if people come to me with ideas, I'm very much open to being like, hey, we'll push what we need to and let's try it out. If we fail, all right, we'll go on to the next thing, right? I don't mind there's been plenty of projects that we've done as a corp that have just gone nowhere, and we're like, all right, well, next thing.
Yeah, just hey, if this didn't stick to the wall, let's find something else that does. Let's find something else that works, and it has an impact that can maybe go a little further than people might kind of think, and go, hey, let's give it a shot. It doesn't hurt to give it a try. If all else fails, you lose what? A handful of ships, a group of ships that you can replace. Right?
Yeah.
And if you try it in the cheap shit, and you figure out, hey, we can optimize this a little bit better. whatever works.
Like that's exactly what it is. Is just let's try it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, then we have some new little project that we get to share with everyone that is pretty fun. Some people find it fun, and we get to have them invite them over.
For sure. So this is all end of the war stuff. You're getting all of this SIGs and squads work. You're catching gate camps. You're doing Memento Mori is doing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So after the war,
it kind of, I would say, almost like stagnate. We didn't know what we were doing because for basically most of the life of Memento Mori, we were always kind of at war. So we were kind of like a lost puppy now. We didn't have a war.
you guys were like, "What to do?
Yeah, like what do we do now? What do we do now? We're not at war. We're just kind of hanging out, So we kind of like stagnated a little bit, just kind of said focusing on the season squad stuff. At the around maybe a year after the war, I stepped back as CEO, which is around that timeline. The same thing is kind of going on. It's just the corpse doing its own thing, doing its own little season squads, and just being a little corp and goons. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of CEO transfers, and then then I come back, I guess, fairly recently, in the last few months, to come back to Eve and take the CEO again from the corp, which I've told everyone from the start of my corp that, listen, if I ever give up CEO, you guys are gonna get the corp. Now I want you guys to run it. I'm not gonna, be a behind the scenes guy. I always want, you guys look at how I do things. I want you guys to keep the same premise of, how the corps run. You guys focus on the members. We were very big on the members and helping them out. Focus on the SIGs and squads. So, like I said, I'm not very prevalent in this era of Eve. After like a year after the war, then I come back a couple months ago, and then now we're starting to kick back up again and get some things rolling again. And like I said, we are still doing the SIGs and squad stuff. Actually helping a member of mine called Sejin. He has a SIG that he's trying to get off the ground called the Gupnik Squad, which they probably have the funniest
those
B
guys.
of every SIG.
I have seen it updated for the AT one recently, so that might put a run for it. The ATB.
I haven't seen the AT one yet, but I don't know. There's a bee in a tracksuit squatting with a bottle of vodka in its hand. That's
that's pretty good. I'll send you this one because I've got the picture, but I'll send it to you on Discord.
Okay.
So you give me your feedback.
That one's special. Good. I like that
it's
one.
It's a Froggy special. Shout out to Froggy for doing all the bees. But
yeah, and I can send you this one if you want to show the stream, the Gupnik Squad B.
Wow, it's a tie-dye bee. Why did I look at this? Why did I look in this channel? This is why I don't look at this channel while doing things. But yeah, so doing cool stuff, doing fun stuff, doing a whole bunch of stuff all over the place. Come back a few months ago, and now we're back at war. Like we're back. We're back, baby. After moving,
it's a weird thing. Whenever I'm CEO, where there's a war going on.
I love it. Well, I hate it, but I do want to point out that I did receive a meme that I showed you before we went on here. That I just have to point out. Very much deserves to be seen by the people. I have to find it. Hold on. Oh, here it is. It was made by the other Eve player in the house. But I think this is the current question of what's going on right now. Is can Panhorde come out to play, please, instead of being not paying attention? But he's apparently they are too busy counting their rental payments to make sure they can apparently still afford to live. But so far, that is the theme that I have seen of this war is can they come out to play it? I have that's it. But so we've gotten to current day. We've gotten through some really great stories. And we've kind of answered this a little bit through the last question, but I just want to kind of put it a little more in focus, so to speak. Can you tell me why the Imperium was a good choice for Memento Mori? Because you guys, you were there, you were in the Imperium, you left, you grew the corp up, you made them, you took them from just you to being adults in the game of Eve. So why was it a good choice for you guys to come back home?
Well, I think more of, like I said, I was a goon before making Memento Mori, so I knew how it was with goons, and I briefly brushed around with like in test in my early years of Eve, and I didn't like it. I kind of brushed around with Horde and didn't like it. Didn't really vibe with the whole culture. Goons have always been like the people I kind of like vibe with, and I always liked how they treated members. They were, there's rules, and you follow the rules, and they're strict about them. But if if as long as you follow the rules, it's a great time in Goons, right?
And
That was that was
those rules are
those rules are
pretty
there for a
easy.
reason. Trust me.
Well, and they're also really easy to follow.
Yes.
Like, people are like, oh my god, rules! And it's really just like, this is not hard. Can you treat
They're the
people like
very
people? Yeah.
basic rules that, like I said, if you followed, which I'm sure that 95% of people that join Goons will never have a problem following the rules. It's
Yeah.
always that 5% that just wants to try to break the rules that always has the problem.
And they maybe just want to see how far they can get away with the rules until they get
That
caught.
too.
And
Yep,
and
that
then
too.
we get some very wonderful messages.
So I've always felt like Goons have been, as an alliance, have been very more catering to their members than other bigger alliances like Horde. They, the whole SRP thing during the war was a big thing going on where, after M2, Goons were handing out Titans to the people that lost them as an SRP and being like, here.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on Horde and Test side, they were struggling months. Even at the war ended, and they were still trying to pay off Titans.
Oh
Like,
shit.
yeah, it's like, listen, if you're going to be an alliance and you want to have these big fleet fights, you got to be able to, at least
Hey,
assure your members being like, hey, if you're going to jump your stuff in, we're backing you. And
hey,
that's why I've always felt like the Imperium is done.
sorry. But yeah, like taking care of their members, that is absolutely huge
Mm-hmm.
in
So,
any
yeah.
concept of an alliance.
And I believe everyone that's ever been in Memento Mori or has known me as, as a CEO or a Memento Mori has known I've always look out for my guys. If you're in Memento Mori, you can be some little lurker, doesn't barely speak in our Discord or whatnot, but if you have a problem, you come to me with that problem, I'm going to do everything in my power to try and help you out to, make, at the end of the day, you're paying to
Yeah,
play this game just like me. I want you to have fun. I want you to have fun.
yeah.
This isn't a job. This is a game. I want you to
Oh
have
yeah.
fun. You want you to come home and sit down at your computer and, be happy where you live and what corp you're in.
Yeah,
So I
for
always look
sure.
out for my guys. And I felt like, Goon Swarm has that same mentality. So that's why I felt like it was a good choice, for us to go into the Imperium.
Oh yeah, and just kind of on that, the amount of leadership overall in Goons. that I have heard is, if you have a problem and this is the problem, here's the forum place, here's who you need to contact, this is what you need to, like, it is all
Yep.
laid out. It's really organized, and I am somebody who's really into organization, so it's really nice that it's a group that is, hey, we've got it here, we've got it laid out, and we've got everything, like, and making things work and
Mm-hmm.
helping with the cohesiveness of everything as a unit, making things easy, and making sure, hey, the line members are being taken care of and aware and have a process that, it's easy to do. It's not like you're having to fill out a 5-page email and do all this and put too much brain into it. It's okay, boop boop boop. It's that's the easiest words that I have is just like really easy. And
Yeah, they take care of their
yeah,
members. It's that's that simple. And
yeah.
but between everything, you have an IT problem, they'll help you with that. You have an SRP problem, you can always email Atrum.
And
No,
shout
I'm
out to
kidding. I'm
Atrum. No, well,
kidding.
I'm just gonna say shout out to
Yes,
Atrum because
he's
his
a
use of
saint.
language is fantastic, and he is a
Yeah,
saint
but
for
he
how
is a
much
saint
patience he
for
has.
how long he's been doing SRP for how many people in the Imperium is
Yeah.
saintly. I will give him that. He's been doing it for a very long time. So shout out to Atrum.
Oh, absolutely. Atrum is very patient, and his use of language is fantastic. Um,
Yes.
I believe he's well versed in Texas bird law as well, or Swiss
Yes.
Texas bird law. I'm not sure
Yep.
what the precise saying is, but I know it's some form of Texas bird law.
Yeah, he
That
was the
he
first fish enthusiast as well.
Oh, he was. Oh God, my
Yes.
boss is a goddamn fish enthusiast. Um, God damn it, wonderful. Well, hey, I absolutely love it, and it really shows what sets goons apart from other big groups of showing how much they care for their everyday average line member who is doing stuff and all of that.
Yeah, and like I said, if the people that aren't in the Imperium watching, the things you see on Reddit are the like 0.00001% of things going on. Like
Oh yeah.
so many people, there's hundreds and hundreds of people having an easy, good time getting along with everyone in Goons, and then there's always that one Reddit post of being like how Atrium was a dick. And it's like, no, Atrium is just dealing with a lot of people, right? And you're just, doing things wrong, and yeah, it's making him frustrated. You gotta understand of how many people he deals with on a daily basis playing this game.
Yeah, it's there, and even when Atrum has, and you know his composure and and I know we're praising Atrum a little bit, um, but for somebody who's been in the job as long as they have and still being able to take a breath. Sorry, I am laughing at Master Tiberius. I would send him a Discord message yourself. I can go bring him back here if you want, but I think um, our lovely resident house CD director is probably getting ready for bed, if not other Eve things. Um, but yeah, Atrum with his patience and his availability and like all of what he does for goons. Yeah, you see such a small percentage of people going, "Oh, this is a bad experience," and everybody else is over here just like claps in chat. Let's
Yeah,
go.
like
That's our boy. Like,
yeah, like I said,
let's
Atrium's a
go.
saint because I know during the war, we used to like the time. We used to when we died in a fleet, we'd start a little stopwatch and see how long SRP would take, and we would try to set a record. And I think Atrium paid out one of our guys in MM after dying. I think 39 seconds after dying.
Oh, I
Like, that's
love it.
impressive.
See, I haven't messed with it so much, but I know they are really, really on top of it,
Oh yeah, that's
and it's it's absolutely fantastic to
that's
see.
that's why I do applaud Goon Swarm, and the leadership in Goon Swarm is that
Mm-hmm.
the people that do run the alliance, like the two people at the top and the people running the behind the scenes stuff, like they're on top of everything.
Oh
Not even just SRP team, like all the departments, like financial and CD and
yeah,
whatever else is going on. They're just people that are there doing those jobs, those space jobs.
it
They
is.
actually do their job and do them good.
It is a well-oiled machine, to
Yes.
say the bare minimum of praise, but to give them their dues, they are a very well-oiled group, a hard-working group. I'm not going to say oiled. I'm not going to compare goons to machinery or anybody in the Imperium to machinery. I think we're to the point where we are goons, we're Imperium, we have lifeblood, and the corpse of the lifeblood that flow through and make us what the Imperium is. So I don't feel like it's fair to call us a machine anymore when this we're so much more than that. But I would just say, if you're looking at joining an alliance, listen to current members on how it is run. Listen, because line members and people who are talking about it, you're gonna get propaganda from both sides. It's kind of a built-in thing, but if you actually stop and listen and compare, honestly, goons are the best, if not, top three. Because I don't know how brave. I have no concept of brave or lawn or
I
shadow
think just
of
the Imperium as a whole, they're
yeah.
very well put together.
Oh yeah. So if we're going Imperium as a whole picture, they're definitely number one. I for sure would say, because it's very much line members and taking care of their line members, and
Yep.
let's make the line members richer. Let's make them have funds. Let
Yep.
them be the
Because
ones.
I don't like looking at the Imperium as like goons and lawn and brave. Like, we're the
Yeah.
Imperium. We're one big family, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's why like when we first joined goons a lot, I tried to explain that to my guys, and it was a hard concept to guys I've never been in goons before, being
Yeah.
like yeah, there's other alliances that we're blue with that are part of the Imperium. Like, they're just as equal as us. I like we share the same space. There's nothing like
Yeah.
Horde where you don't rent the system and that you have rights over that system and no one else can enter that and do things like. No, you wanna when it's peacetime you want to go rat in this specific system because you just like that system. Go ahead. I don't. It doesn't matter if it's a lawn system. It doesn't matter if it's
Yeah.
well, at the time it would have been a knit before they left the Imperium. It doesn't matter if it's a blue alliance. It's their Imperium, right? And it just
For
makes it
sure.
very simple, and it makes it very everyone meshes a lot better. If
I would.
everyone's set on an equal playing field, there's no
Yeah.
there's no subject and subjector.
Which I think is something really big in the rental thing, because there's a distinction there.
Yes.
In the Imperium, it's very, hi, you're family now. Come on in. Like, come
Yes.
for a hug. Let's go. Walk out to a gate and sit and have a beer. And
Like, you see it very,
yeah.
very prevalently with like Pan Fam, where you see Horde, and then you see like someone like Slice that it's under them. They kind of just listen to Horde's rules and Horde's whatever Horde says goes. And that's the end of the story. That's not how it is in the Imperium. Like if goons do something, everyone is doing something. It's not just being like, hey, you're set to these rules, but this person has a different set of rules. No, it's the Imperium
Yeah.
is a big family. We follow all the same rules. We follow the whole same code of conduct.
Yeah.
It's there's no uneven playing field. Everyone's an equal here.
And that is something that I think is really important. I think that's something really important to kind of. And I know we've gotten a little off track, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's
I'll guide us back here in a minute. I know this is part of our whole conversation, but honestly, I feel like it's really important to not have the overlord and the renter. I feel like it's really
no.
important to go, hey, we're all working together. You're welcome here. And I know like corps that share areas, and it's like, oh hey fam, like they wave at each other as
Yeah.
they're ratting or they're doing whatever, and there's inside jokes and all the fun, poking and having fun with people and the fun stories that come out from some of the jokes. And then there's, you know, shit. There was one point I was sitting mining a, was it ice field, anom, something like that, and I had some really good friends of mine from another corp warp in because of red entrance system. And they're like, "We're just watching your six, honey. We're just watching your six. We got
Yeah,
you."
that's the
And
Imperium. It's
we're just like, "Hey, like, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for seeing me out here. Like, thanks for we're hanging out here and just trying to, get some fuel for some jump freighters and stuff. And or honestly, I forget what we were mining, whether it be an anom or ice or a moon. Honestly, can't fucking remember. But it's been a hot minute. It's been pre-war. During war, my brain has been like laser focused, and my brain has totally forgotten what we're running. But
that's another thing with goons. When it's wartime and peacetime, is two different, completely different alliances. Like
oh my
one's,
god,
we're just a bunch of crabs, making money, and then when wartime kicks in, we're just a bunch of bloodthirsty killers looking to just burn down a whole region.
oh yeah, we're like, let's go, give me the money. And when we're not in war, it's okay, slowly go ahead and like people have a whole bunch of gratting and a whole bunch of stuff. In wartime, it's all right. Hold on, we got to focus, and the laser in the brain, the laser pointer turns on, and
Oh,
we're just like, go.
that's
Like,
like one of the big things why I thought like goons or Imperium was a good choice because it's like you know, when shit needs to get done, it's gonna get done. Like
oh
we're
yeah,
not gonna dilly dally. Like wartime comes around, that's the main focus. We're gonna achieve our goals.
hell yeah. I am. Yeah, that's so. This is my first war with the Imperium, so I am in for a treat. I've been told,
Yes, yes. If this is your first
and
war, then anyone that's listening, that if this is your first war with the Imperium, get on fleets. Get on fleet. I can't say this enough. And you probably see it in pings all the time. Join SIGs and squads. Find that little niche in the war. Like I said,
get
back
fleets.
in World War B, my thing with a bunch of my guys was burning down abandoned structures. So find that little
Yeah,
niche that you just like.
yeah. See, I sat for about 7 hours yesterday. Just I sat here, and I got brought a burger, and I was not expecting to be brought food, but it was here. You've been sitting and working for 7 hours. You probably have another two left. And I did. So I was sitting from my computer from about 1, 2 o'clock to about 10 o'clock at night, just sitting and war. Wah! But yeah, I am excited. I'm pumped. I am just like, okay, let's go. Let me
And
kill
it's still
things.
early on in this war. We haven't hit like that peak yet. And
I don't think we're close, to be
no,
honest.
no, it's like I said, we're still early.
This is the first week. This is the
Yeah.
very first week. Asher did do a broadcast. Uh, so I am curious to see what happens going forward. And I guess we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna curtail us kind of back to the questions that I have. So can you've mentioned a few things, but can you tell me some of the awesome stuff that Memento Mori does for its members? And while I know we are at wartime, in a non-wartime scenario, are you recruiting?
In a wartime scenario, we're currently close to recruiting. Mostly, a lot of Imperium corporations are
Yes.
doing the same, just because
But
that's how we operate as during wartime.
if we weren't at
Um,
war, would you be recruiting?
yes, if we weren't
Okay.
at war, yes, our doors would be open to people wanting to join. Um, Personally, we do not discriminate. Mainly, if you were in Horde, if you're coming from Horde and you want to come to Goons during peacetime, I do not discriminate. Like, listen, I know
Mhm.
some people like to try different things. All right, if you have Horde on your employment list, I'm not gonna be like no.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I do want to mention too because I do find this as a big part of Eve. That Memento Mori has been and always will be a no scam recruitment corp. So
Oh yes,
yeah,
that's important.
I do take that very seriously with my guys in my corp, where I make sure I tell them that do not use our name in any scams or anything like that. Because I do not want to be associated like that. So if anyone you see is asking you for IS to join Memento Mori, there's a scam. I'm telling you, as the CEO, we do not do that. Please let me know, and I will deal with it because I do not tolerate that.
That is awesome.
So yes, if we were in peacetime, we do our recruiting. During wartime, though, the only recruitment we really do is any person that wants to transfer corps inside the Imperium. But we're
Yeah.
like I said, most corps have basically, we're all one big family, so it's not really much. If you're in Karma Fleet, we're not going to discriminate and not let you into our fleets if we're doing little, corp things. We'll let anyone come with us.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah. So then some of the other, I guess, awesome stuff that our corp does for its members.
Mhm.
Um, Besides all the the fun little fleet things, we offer like little benefits for our members. Obviously, we get SRP from the Alliance. We actually just started a couple of different programs in our corporation where you get almost double SRP for just
Oh
fighting.
wow.
If you want to contribute in home defense in our home regions during the war, because like I said, I know firsthand from people wanting to go behind the lines while everyone's fighting on the front lines and just burning shit from behind the lines. If you want to protect our home, shit, I'll give you. The alliance will SRP you and the corporal will SRP you. So you're getting
Yeah.
paid to defend our homeland.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. That's really really nice, and that's you're keeping things in mind
Hmm.
that with from prior experiences and the history that you've gone over with us tonight.
Yep. And then there's a couple other, I guess the one other program or benefit that we offer members in Memento Mori that I don't think you really see very much anymore, which I kind of like, I take a little bit of pride in, offering this to some of our members, but I know like in the Imperium, we're always pushing for more dread pilots, more carrier pilots, more super pilots, anything, capital related.
Yeah.
So any members that come into Memento Mori after some time, we don't just give it to you first day. But if you are looking to take that step into capital warfare, and be a dread pilot for in Memento Mori for the Alliance, and you haven't done dreads or carriers before, and you feel like that it's a big step and you can't afford it, the corporation will help you pay your way into dreads. We will pay for skill books. We will pay for an actual hull and give it to members that will, use them. I want to see.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like seeing things get used. So if you want to take that step and you aren't sure if you can afford it, or if you can't, feel like that's not something you can pursue at the moment, but you want to try it, that's what we offer some of our members. We offer a capital placement program, we call it.
That's
So if you want to take
awesome.
that step into capitals, the corporation will help you fund you into a capital to use.
That is absolutely awesome, and I believe you are the second group that I know of. The first, well, I do know one group that has like a bunch of groups have loaners for dreads, stuff like that. But I think you guys are the first that I've heard that, hey, if you need help with skill books and you're interested in if you've passed XYZ requirements. We'll help you. We'll help you get out there and get into that. And I think
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
like I said, I'm a very big person on, ships are ammo. Ships are meant to die. It's in their name.
Yeah.
So if, like I said, if you want to take that step and you're not sure about, if you've never done Capital Warfare, if you're a new player or something like that, or if you're just someone that, some people just don't have a lot of ISK in their wallet, they just like spending it over and over again. So if you're someone that, we can trust and you meet these requirements in our corporation, that you want to take that jump into Capital Warfare, yes, we will help you with skill books. We will help you with hull. We will help you with a fit. We will get our members into Dreads if you want to try that.
Hell yeah. So we've heard so much. We've heard funny stories mixed in with history. We've heard an awesome start to a corp name that honestly is really unique. We've heard, so many different things, and kind of leading up to this last question, which we've kind of touched on a little bit with the mentioning of Potchman, some of the cool stuff that you guys have done, stealing test. So kind of stuff in between here. Are there any big accomplishments that Memento Mori has that you can talk about in a public setting?
I feel like I covered a lot of them in the history of our corporation. But I think really the biggest accomplishment in my mind when I think of the corp that since I'm the founder, I built from literally just myself is that
That's huge.
yeah, that's why I think is like one of the biggest accomplishments is that a lot of corps, like I said, like we have a bit of an unorthodox beginning because I feel like a lot of corps come out where there's a group of guys that, band together and they have their own little corp and they work together and, things take off. I didn't have that. I kind of just had myself, and then I started meeting a lot of very awesome players, a lot of very awesome guys that, done a lot of work with me. And some of them, like one of my directors, Lord SK, which I wish he was here tonight, but he got caught up doing some IRL stuff. He's been a great member in the corp, and he's during my absence of not being CEO, he's kept the lights on. He's been helping people just like how I treat everyone. He treats everyone, and yeah, he's been in the corp for a long time. He's a very awesome dude. But I think that's the biggest accomplishment of just growing the corp and kind of meeting a lot of great guys. Just having fun. That's really what it is. That's at the end of the day, Eve's a game. It's you pay your sub just like I pay my sub. We'll have some fun. I don't want to be some elitist killboard corporation that the CEO yells at you because you lost a blingy Tengu. No, I'll give you a little shit and joke around with you in the Discord about how you lost your Tengu, but like hell yeah, man, you tried. Like
See, for me, it would be, have I lost my dread yet? No? Okay. I still haven't lost it. It's currently sitting somewhere out of the... Okay, so I have 2 dreads. One of which, my very first dread, which is Baby FC's first dread, is currently sitting in a very safe location, which I will not disclose, but it's staying there for the time being because that's my moneymaker. And then, of course, I have the CERN. We deal with that's
MM was the
things.
MM was the other way around of like, oh, you have a spare dread, you want to lose it? We could do something with it right now.
I mean, I might be down for that sometime. I got enough to go buy a spare right now, so we'll talk. We'll talk. Maybe
there's been a couple of just YOLO dread drops in our day of just, we know it's not gonna work, but YOLO.
I've seen a few recently that I'm like, that's a choice.
Yeah, there was actually one in the early days of MM when we were with Slice Pirates, but we dropped I think 7 dreads on streamer Dominic's just so that Rick couldn't get it to it in time. And I remember Rick was messaging me on Discord and being like, why'd you drop 7 dreads? I was like, I don't know, it's fun. And he's like, do you not have a supporting fleet for them? I was like, No. You know, if they die, they die.
Yeah, exactly. It's ships are ammo. The my first dread is a
That's what I
little
told them.
special.
Listen, if they counter drop 7 dreads, listen, you guys got to fight now. We're having fun.
Exactly. So, I mean, I understand. It's all about the fun per hour ratio, which I think is severely understated in this game, and I love hearing a corporation that really is like, hey, who gives a shit?
That's literally what MM was built on. That and memes.
I know memes. I had my first Reddit post the
Yes.
other
Yeah.
day.
Oh well. I if anyone in
So
the chat remembers MM during World War B2 or Vietnam, whatever we call it, the hell dump on the forums. There was never a day you didn't see 3 new MM posts.
there we go. But all right, so I just we've gone through a lot, and there's kind of almost too much to recap. Other than fun per hour, check. You guys are really good member centric. You guys are six squads focused. You guys are PvP without it lost puppies. Like there is so much fantastic history of how you guys got to now be in the Imperium family. Is there anything that we missed or anything that you're like, hey, I gotta say this before we
No,
go?
I think we covered a lot of it. Like I said, I'll just say it one more time to anyone that's in the Imperium: join Sigs and squads, get out in the fleets, have fun. That's that's it, really. That's my motto, kind of. Is just get on fleets, have some fun, kill some bad guys. It's how it is. And if you're not Imperium, join Sigs and squads.
Hell yeah. All right. So I got told to give the doggo a snack. I will hear when we end because I will let our guest go here in a moment. But I just want to say thank you, Mr. Joe, for coming on and being willing to kind of give
You're
some
welcome.
story time.
And thank you
And
for the spotlight too.
hey, I'm just here to have a good time, kind of preserve some history, have some fun, and have a good time.
I appreciate it because I always felt like MM was a bit of a smaller corp in the Imperium, and not many people knew our history and what we kind of do.
Well, see, this is so. I've only been doing smaller corps. So far, I haven't done ASCII or Brave. I think the largest one maybe I've done is either ADFU or the Aussies that I did with
Uh,
with Moggy.
yes, I know Magi.
Yeah. I
Yep.
think it was Amped. I think that those might be the biggest two to quote unquote the biggest two that I've done. In the sense of talking about people, per heartbeat ratio, like stuff like that. But
Mhm.
it just, I like being able to go, hey, look, no matter how small a corporation is, you're still part of the Imperium
Yep, and
and your
like I said, I
family.
don't. A lot of people join the Imperium, and then the I wouldn't say the history gets lost of how before the Imperium, but it's nice to have like a spotlight for a lot of people that didn't know Memento Mori's history to now kind of like hear where we came from and like what we were doing, that behind the scenes stuff that a lot of people didn't know. We were burning down catch during the war and like
Yeah.
ruining logistics lines. And
Hell yeah. But yeah, that's kind of the purpose of this, is to give the not the megacorps, but kind of just the average size or small or family size sometimes, as I guess we could call it. Um,
yes,
just give the family size, because corps are like your family in your sense, in a sense, they're your
that's what it
video
is.
game family. So given the non megacorps a chance to kind of go, and hey, here's a history, here's our lore, here's what we're about, and hey, we fly with you, and we're part of this family too, and just getting that lore out and having a record of this is us and this is our group, and Yeah. Like I think that's really important, and it's important to me as a history buff to kind of preserve. Hey, that's why I don't care if people talk about what their corpse did before they joined the Imperium. I want to know what they did, and I also want to know why they joined the Imperium. So
Yeah.
it's kind of just a hey, it's teaching, it helps, it does quite a few things, and yeah.
And I
So
know you're a more newer Eve player, and a lot of Eve players, newer Eve players, is that Eve's very, very history rich. There's a lot
yeah,
of YouTube videos about a lot of the bigger stuff that happened, but trust me, there is a lot of little intricate things going on that you never hear about that kind of just gotten lost in history because they
yeah.
never got recorded, or when people move on and time has passed from them. So it's nice to be able to reminisce a little bit on the history of like where we came from and give our side of the story and our side of the Eve universe of what
Yeah.
we did.
Well, and I think even those small parts can have such a big impact on the current or future story in ways that people might not even think of. So being able to kind of go and okay, we'll put it on the board, we'll put a pin in it, and we'll put it up here, and people can put the puzzle pieces together. I've done 20 episodes of these with a variety of guests, and you can go through and you can see the puzzle pieces connecting, and where this group was doing this and this group was here and these groups work together, and you could see the puzzle being built as more and more people talk to me. So
Yep.
it's so refreshing to be able to kind of come from it from a and I try not to be biased. I try really hard. I am a goon, I am in WAF, but I still come across it as this is history. Talk about pre-goons. Tell me why you guys became a goon. Tell me, I want to hear, because that shows, hey, stuff existed. This is what was talked about before this group was a goon. This is, and showing just history and timelines and how long certain things have been talked about and certain things have been happening.
Yep, it's like I said, it's very story rich, and the little like itty bitty stories that go on around the universe. Like I said, there's plenty of YouTube videos talking about all the big wars going on. But like I said, if I didn't talk to you today, you would have never knew that Memento Mori and Trailer Park Illuminati was having a war against Volta and Sedition and whatnot in Pureblind around the time World War B2 was going on.
And honestly, that sounds. I still the trailer. God, I love that name. It's so great. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. I am going to thank you for coming and hanging out with me, um, and I really appreciate the stories and all of the history that you brought to this.
Oh, you're welcome.
Awesome. So with that, I will go ahead and give. We had somebody redeem a treat for the doggo. Um, So I will be right back with that, and then we will go ahead and raid out. Yes, they love you. They decided to eat a snack. Yeah, all right. She's rather happy. Oh, you full of beans. Here, doggo. Oh, sit down. Go here. Snack. Apparently, she didn't want the snack, but I will try again with another snack another time, and Timber, you'll get that tomorrow. But let's go ahead and raid somebody in Eve. Who's awake? I know none of these people. Hey, let's go raid a newbie. They say they're a new-ish. Let's see if that is accurate. But with that, have a good night, everybody. Thank you for coming. And we are going to raid Raffinator. I don't know how new they are, if they're new, but we're going to go say hi. So, have a good night, everybody. And as soon as it hits me the button. There we go.